Welcome to Raw Conscious Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Tammy Cheney. So, today is going to be part 3, and I keep changing my scenery so that you can see the beauty of what's around me here. I'm in this big, huge park up in the mountains, and it's just all deserty and mountainy. It's got the best trails. And so, I changed my scenery again, but I am in the same spot. So I'm going to go ahead and start off where I left off, and that was my church experience. So 2 weeks later, I'm still in the home that I spoke about in video 2, and I go to my room. I do nothing more than just sit on my bed and lean my back onto the backboard, and instantaneously I was transported to a place that was so beautiful. And the thing is it kind of looked like Earth, but the beauty of it was it looked like Earth because it had a dirt road. It had trees and flowers. Off to the distance, to the right, there was this building that was very ancient, like, I don't know, like Roman days. I'm not really sure, but it was way off in the distance. So I appear in this place, and I got these two beings that look like humans, but they're way more vibrant. That's the only way I can describe it. I could obviously see that there was some sort of difference between us. And so we're walking down this dirt road, and I'm just freaking out. Like, I'm like, the flowers, the trees, like everything, the colors of the flowers were the most beautiful colors. They were translucent, almost like it's so hard for me to describe because there are no words for it. The trees, the leaves on the trees were just, they were just so beautiful, almost like crystals, colored greens that you'll never see on the leaves here. And so I'm freaking out. I'm running over to flowers, I'm running over to trees, I'm like running back to these two men that were with me, one on the right, one on the left, and I'm just freaking out because I have no idea where I am at, but it is most definitely the most beautiful place that I had ever seen. So I go, at this point, I'm only facing forward, and I'm seeing what's to the right and what's to the left. And I go to turn around and look behind me to see what's behind me. And behind me, what I saw was, it was like thousands of these beings that were humanoid shaped, but they were just light. They were just white light. There was no features, there was no nothing. And so when I turned my head back around, and I'm like, I'm literally, through the whole thing, I'm freaking out. I'm literally freaking out with what I'm seeing. So when I look back in front of me, all of a sudden on that dirt road, there was this big, gigantic, huge light that was almost like the sun, but it would be if the sun came all the way down to earth and was like hovering over the ocean like a horizon, but taking up the whole ocean. It was huge. For me, the minute I saw that light, I instantly knew that was God. That was the God that I had been speaking to since I was 3 years old. I knew. It was a knowing instantaneously that is who I had been speaking to this entire time. And so there were a few more details that were in between, but I'm going to go back to, so when I saw this light, I instantly looked at one of the men beside me. I don't know which way I can't remember which way my head turned, okay? But I looked at this being and I said, I can't wait to go and tell everyone. Like, it was literally like, oh my gosh, I need to get this out to everyone so that they know, you know? And so one of the biggest things about seeing that light and knowing that was God, the one that I had been speaking to my whole entire life, is I realized that God was not a man standing, you know, up in the sky with a staff and ready to strike you down if you sin or do something wrong. And so that was mind-blowing to me. So I look at this man and I say, I can't wait to go back and tell everyone. I was instantly back in my body. So when I came back into my body, it was like, the only way I can describe it is that I was still in a ball of light. Like that light that I saw that was in the horizon, it was like I was inside of that, but now I'm back in my bed in this physical realm. And so immediately the first thing I want to do is I want to get up and I want to go out to the other rooms, and I want to start telling the girls what just happened to me. And so I get out, and you got to understand that in this home, it was laid out like it was a 4-bedroom house. So you walk down a hallway, you'd see the kitchen, master bedrooms down on this end, 3 bedrooms down on this end. And so every time we would walk the hallways to go from, say, the kitchen or whatever, we would always speak to each other. We would have some sort of a conversation, even if it was just a passing by, hey, what's up, kind of a thing. So I walked out of the room, and I'm approaching the girls with so much like enthusiastic excitement inside me, and they walk right past me. Like, the only way I can say it, and I know that this seems like crazy, is I came back with this ball of light around me, and you actually couldn't see me. Like, you couldn't physically see me. So as I'm going down this hallway, all excited to tell the girls, they're passing right by me like they don't even see me. No, nothing, no conversation, no nothing. So I said to myself, I said, I'm just going to go back into the room, and I'm going to sit down on the bed and just wait for this, whatever this is, passes. So I sat there for about 45 minutes, and all of a sudden I said inside myself, I wonder if I can talk yet. So I just spoke 3 little simple words just to see if my voice actually came out. So I spoke those words and realized, oh, I'm like fully back now. And so I jumped up out of the bed, of course, ran into the other room, started telling the girls what had happened to me. And they literally thought I lost my mind. They were like, they had no clue. And the thing is, for me personally, I thought that by just speaking what just happened to me, that they would all of a sudden feel and know what I'm talking about. I just automatically assumed that. It was no thought in my mind that they would think anything different. And when that didn't happen, I was like devastated inside, because I was like, I want to share this. I want to give this, what I have, to the whole entire world, and that would change the planet. You know, that's how I felt at that time. And so, I mean, I still want to change the whole planet. That mission hasn't changed. But going on in whatever life was at that time, I couldn't do it anymore. Whatever I had been doing before to survive in this world, I couldn't do anymore. And it was everything that I had ever known in my whole entire life was fully solidified. And there is no way that I could ever go back to whoever I was before. I was instantaneously a completely different person. And I do want to throw this out here just so people understand a little bit more about me. I am autistic. I have severe ADHD. So it is navigating through this world, period, is I can't even put words on it. Like, everything to me is backwards and upside down. It's all wrong. Everything here, all wrong. And so after that experience, after everything being solidified, I knew that there was no way that I could ever be a part of this world the way that it is. So at that time, of course, I didn't know how that worked out. So I continued, going to my job at the time, doing the way the world's set up. And I was so, like, I can't even explain the emotional roller coaster in me of how I felt trying to do this and like do what is who I am. So I did go through the motions of what is set up for society for a period of time, but inside me, I was dying. I was dying inside me. Like, the more I exposed myself and put myself out there and did the things the way that the world is set up, the more I died inside. It was like, literally, it was too much for me. Like, it was too much, and I had no idea how I was going to be able to touch the world with what I touched in that place and change the world. I had no idea. And I'm well aware that I'm not here to be the lone person to change the world, basically. But that I knew that I was part of a collective, even though I didn't know anybody like me. I had never met anybody like me. What I was seeing in my vision, none of them looked like me. I was so out of place. And I mean, even since I was a young child, I already felt like alien, that I wasn't human. But I didn't even know how to put that in words. And I'm not saying I'm an alien. I'm obviously human. But the way that I see humans operate is not who I am, and I don't know how to be like them. I don't even I know that I'm only here for one reason, and that is for my mission that has been given to me, that I know that there are millions out there that have the same mission. So I'm going to go on from there. And so that experience happened. I couldn't navigate even what little bit I could navigate. I could no longer navigate it, and it was just way too much. So I moved out of that home that I was in with the girls. I got my own place, and now I have my baby because I was pregnant in the home. It was a home for pregnant women. So I have my baby. I have my 3-year-old son at the time, and I'm in my own place. And this was one of another just really most profound experience that happened to me was this experience. So where I lived at, I lived in a duplex, but it had a pool in the back. The pool didn't have a fence around it. The property itself ultimately had a fence around it, but the actual pool did not have a fence around it. So I'm at my place, my daughter's sleeping, laying down for a nap. I think she was about 8 months at that point. And my son is running around and I'm just cleaning. So long story short, my brother lived in the other side of the duplex. He came over, just got off of work, and he's trying to have this long, drawn out conversation with me, which I have zero interest in because it was about some girl that he liked. And I'm dying, like having to stand here and please him for that moment in time to hear his story. But my brain didn't work that way. So it was killing me to hear him talk about this girl. So as he's talking to me, my 3-year-old, my back door was wide open because I was in the middle of cleaning at the time. And he was like, "Can I go outside and play?" And I was like, "Yeah, just go right there," and I pointed out, just stay right in that area. So he goes outside to play, and my brother's continuing on with his conversation. And all of a sudden, I don't even know how much time passes by with him conversating with me, but all of a sudden my daughter starts to cry in the bedroom. So I'm like, "Oh, the baby's up for a nice nappy," And so that ended our conversation. But before I walked to go get my daughter, I peeked over my shoulder like this, and my son was floating face first in the swimming pool. My 3-year-old was face down, floating on top of the water. So me and my brother, we run out the door to go get him. And it takes both of us to pull him out of the water because your body is just way heavier, when something like that happens. And he lays him right in my lap. So here I'm down on the ground on my knees, sitting on my legs with my knees buckled under me with my dead son in my arms. Okay. My brother takes off. He takes off running, and I don't know why. I didn't know if it was that he got scared or whatever. Or let me just go back. Before he takes off, I looked up at him and I said, "Robert, please do something to help him." And my brother's like, "I don't know how to do CPR." Well, me personally, I didn't know how to do CPR either. I had no clue. Like I was 24 years old at the time, and I was still just a tad bit developmentally delayed, for sure, from my upbringing. And so he runs. I have my dead son in my arms. Lips are blue, eyelids are blue, fingers are blue, like skin pale white. And the first thing I do is I lay my head on his chest, and I can't hear a heartbeat. And now I'm like panicking, I'm panicking inside because I don't know what to do. And I can't even think to get up and run to a phone. We didn't have cell phones then, but I couldn't think to get up and run and grab a phone and, call 911. I was just so in shock with my son in my lap and the way that he looked, knowing that, I may never see him again. So I look up in the neighborhood because I'm like, I'll just scream for help. And just to describe this neighborhood, there were houses all around me, very close. It was a neighborhood. And so, but when I looked up, the only way I can describe it is like when you're watching like some sort of a scary movie and you see somebody's running down a hallway, and in the scene of the movie, the hallway just keeps getting longer and longer and longer, and they never make it, that's the scenery. Well, when I looked up, the same thing happened to me. I looked up and it looked like it, all of a sudden it went, and everything around me looked like it was so far away that there is no way that these people are going to hear me. My only next option that I had at that point is I literally looked up to the sky and I said, God, please help me. Show me what I need to do to bring my little boy back to life. And of course, I was in pure panic. Like, I can't even mimic the scenery with the panic that I was in at that time. I can't even mimic it. And so as soon as I did that, I instantly heard this audible voice. It was as audible as us speaking right now. It was an audible voice. And it said, okay, Tammy, this is what you need to do. And it was so gentle. It was more masculine. It was so gentle. It just started giving, it was almost like the voice was so calming, so beautiful, so everything, that I immediately submitted to that voice. And I was like, okay, so I get my little boy out of my lap, and now he's on the thing, and it said, I want you to put your hand, the whole ritual, plug his nose, put your mouth on his mouth, and blow in. And that's what I did. I blew into his mouth, and it was so creepy because the feeling of blowing into somebody's mouth that has drowned is the same feeling as if you take a straw and put it in a cup and you blow in the straw and it goes blah, 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 blah. That's what you feel on this child or whoever. And so as soon as I pulled my mouth off of him, instantly water just started rolling out like a water hose out of his nose, out of his mouth, out of his ears. Water just started rolling out, and it kept coming. It's not like what you see on the movies. So I rolled him over to his side, and water still flowing out. It just kept flowing out and flowing out and flowing out. And then the voice said to me, okay, Tammy, you need to lay him back on his back. You need to put your hand on his chest, and you need to pump 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So that's what I did, just like that. And as soon as I got to the 3rd pump, his eyes like rolled back into the back of his head, and it scared me. And what ended up happening is instantaneously, when I got scared, another voice on the other side of me came in and was like, oh, he's dead now. He's dead. That's it. He's dead. And for whatever reason, I literally felt my separation from this voice, instantly tuned into this voice, and I lost it. I started flipping out of my mind, freaking screaming, freaking out, screaming at the top of my lungs. Lost it, like fully lost it. So at that point, I was so out of my mind that I didn't realize that the ambulance just pulled up. So what my brother did is he went and called the ambulance. And they're running over to me, and I'm so out of my mind, screaming, freaked out, like out of it, that I don't even realize that my son was when his eyes rolled back in his head, it was actually him coming back to life. And he was already starting the breathing process. So as they got there, he was already coming back, and they basically just finished off whatever. I mean, they didn't have to do any more CPR, but they got him, they actually helicopter flew him to the children's hospital. So they took him, and so that experience was, it was such a hard, traumatizing experience, but at the same time, I couldn't believe what had happened to me in the midst of it. It was like, I couldn't believe that I heard this voice. I couldn't believe that this ended up happening. So I was so divided like in my thinking because I had no idea what just happened to me. And so that was my second experience after the home, and I'm going to go ahead and stop it from here because I have so much more to tell you. So many like powerful, so many like crazy, like horrifying, like this has been a toss of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth my whole entire life. I don't know why I am opened to seeing everything, but for some reason I see everything. So I'm going to go ahead and close it from here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for hearing my story. And if you're not subscribed, I'd love if you would subscribe for future episodes. I am doing a couple really good interviews this month that I'm very excited about. And if you liked it, hit that like button, and I would absolutely love if you would leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. Tell me anything. Leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you, and have a wonderful rest of your day.